Right. So before we get to those practice problems, just remember the prefix is kilo, the symbol is a K, 10 to the third power is the scientific notation, and the value is 1,000. And then hecto, this is a symbol, this is a value. And again, remember, this just means 10 times 10 times 10, right? That's what that 3 means. And then here, this just means 10 times 10, right? And 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000, 10 times 10 is 100. 10 to the first power is just 10 times 1, which is 10, and so on, right? And so again, these are all the prefixes. These are the symbols that belong to those prefixes. So make sure you know these because you're going to be asked about them a little bit later. And this is the value in scientific notation. And then this is just what the scientific notation means right here. Right, then here you have just the quantity is the length, volume, mass, time, temperature, and these are the base units for each one. And then these are the symbols for each one, right? So length, meter, M, volume, liter, capital L. Make sure you do the capital L because if you have a lowercase l, it's hard to tell if it's an I or an L. Mass, grams, and then G. A lot of people have difficulty with this one. Remember, time is seconds, and that's the S. And then temperature, we measure in Celsius, and that's a capital C. Right, so here we have a few practice problems. Let's go ahead and do this one right here. So it says convert 78 centimeters to millimeters. So remember, the first thing you want to do right here, and let me just go ahead and write the problem. 78 centimeters is going to equal, and then put a little line here, this many, what is it, millimeters. Right, so whenever you have this right here, what I like to do, and actually let me put a space right here. What I like to do first is write out the number. So you have right here, let me try to do this as neatly as possible, 78. And remember, when you don't have a decimal here, if this confuses you, and I tell students a million times, if you get confused, put the decimal here. A lot of times students still won't do that, but it makes it a lot easier. If it's a whole number, put a decimal there because that's where that's where the decimal goes. It's just people don't ever really write it because you don't necessarily need to, but there's always a decimal behind a whole number, like 78. Right, and then you got to remember this part right here. Let me actually move this down. That whenever you have 78 and you're converting to millimeters or centimeters to millimeters, then you start here. Here is centi, right? That's where that C comes from. This C right here. And then we're going to milli. And here's this M right here for milli. Right, so basically we're just going one step to the right. And remember, that's the rule right here. Whatever direction you go and how many steps you take, that's how you move the decimal. So if you moved 1 to the right, then that just means you move the decimal 1 to the right. Remember, every time you move the decimal, you got to add a 0. So we'll put a 0 right there. And then this actually turns out to be 780. Right, and if you wanted to, you could put the decimal right here, but you don't necessarily have to. So then the answer right here is just, let me see if I can put that. Oh, here we go. 780. Right, so whenever you're converting 778 centimeters to millimeters, again, we just went 1 to the right, and that just means that we moved the decimal right here, 1 to the right, and that gave us 780. Right, so let's do another one. Right, so here you have 0.25 kilograms, and we're going to grams. Right, so right here, what you want to do is just, what I like to do right away is just kind of write out the problem, 0.25 kilograms. Let me put a space there, and we're converting that to, we'll say equals, grams, right? Blank grams. So here, what we're doing is we're going from this kilograms right here, and we're going to grams. So we're going from here to here. Remember, this is where you have grams, meters, and liters, right? So we're going from here, 1, 2, 3 to the right, right? So again, if you have a number like this, 0.25, it already has a decimal there, right? So we don't have to draw it at the end because it already has it. But this is saying you're going 3 to the right, so you're just going to move the decimal 1, 2, and then you're going to need to put a 0 here because it needs to go one more space, 3. All right, so then your answer here is, put it right here, 250 grams. Right, and so this is your answer. This is how you convert. Remember, we went 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3. So you move the so now let's go ahead and do this one right here. So 8,724 milligrams to kilograms. All right, so the first thing again, what you want to do is just go ahead and write down the problem. In this case, it's 8,724 milligrams, and we're converting that, so equals kilograms. All right, so we're converting from milligrams to kilograms. All right, so first things first, remember what I said before is that whenever you have this, so let me just write this number, 8,724, and just put the comma here. All right, so remember, y'all, this is a comma, right? You put that when you have the thousands, but remember, if there is no decimal here, which you don't see here, the decimal always goes at the end. And always put that there if you get confused, because a lot of people do. Just remember, the decimal always goes at the end of a number if there is no decimal already there. So here we're going from milligrams to kilograms. So let me move this down here. So basically we're going like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going 6 and we're going to the left, right? So what you're going to have to do here is move this one 1, 2, 3, 4. Have to put a 0. 5. Have to put another 0. And 6. And then you put the decimal right there. So then the new number here is, and let me erase this right there, is 0.008724. We went from 8,724 to 0.008724. And always put the decimal, always put a 0 in front of the decimal, right? It's just kind of a placeholder there, but that's the right way to write it. So again, 8,724 milligrams is equal to 0.008724 kilograms, right? And that's because we went 6 and to the left. So you move the decimal 6 to the left. And so this one right here, the final example we're going to do, we went from 6.3 centimeters to meters. So here you just write 6, and here they put the decimal in for us, right? So we don't have to put one at the end. So 6.3 centimeters equals, whoops, let me put the line, blank meters. All right, so again, we just got to see which way and in what direction we move up this or down this staircase. So here we have, what is it, centimeters, and centimeters is right here. And it's just telling us to go from centimeters. And remember, the base unit is right here, meters, liters, and grams. All right, so it's just telling us to go to meters. So we're going to go 1, 2 to the left. So all you got to do right here, you have 6.3, is you go 1, 2, so 1, and you got to put a 0 here because we're going to have to go one more, 2. So this right here becomes 0.063. But remember, always write the 0 in front of the decimal, just because that is a proper way to do it. So 0.063. And this is how you convert. This is a conversion using this step or ladder method right here.